In a city just shy of 5,000 people, the Old West desert town of Needles was once known for its railroad. Now it's making a new name for itself, a Second Amendment sanctuary. Needles Mayor Jeff Williams says the people he represents proudly bear arms, and no state law is going to stifle that right.
So it was time to make a stand and a statement and start helping with a little bit of pushback against some of these state laws that are just too restrictive.
City leaders recently passed a resolution declaring the San Bernardino town a Second Amendment sanctuary.
All we're trying to do is protect our constitutional rights, which they should be thankful for.
A symbolic move, hoping to send a mighty message to those working in Sacramento. The city of Needles hopes to inspire a coalition of Second Amendment sanctuary cities so they can together bring their concerns here to state lawmakers. The desert city hugs the borders of Arizona and Nevada, where gun laws are much looser and concealed carry permits are easier to obtain. But don't think about bringing those out-of-state carries to California. It's illegal. And Mayor Williams says it's taking a toll on tourism.
We've heard from a lot of our neighbors in Arizona that won't come into our town and utilize our restaurants and other things that we have here because of the concealed weapon. They won't recognize it. This is the only state, from what I understand, that will not recognize border states' concealed weapons permits.
And under the recently passed Proposition 63, people in Needles can't buy ammunition from their silver and copper state neighbors and then bring it back home. Instead, they have to drive at least 100 miles to the nearest California gun shop for their purchase.
So it's chipping away at our Second Amendment rights.
Terry Fong owns the Rockland Armory and says it's becoming more and more difficult to sell firearms in the Golden State.
We can only sell a certain amount of guns, certain types of guns, and a lot of manufacturers have been getting out of California because of that, so we have limited firearms that we can sell.
He says his customers are frustrated and would like to see Placer County follow in Needles' footsteps.
Some people like the handguns and rifles same caliber.
As with Sam Paredes with the Gun Owners of California.
The Second Amendment is the ignored constitutional right by many courts and certainly state legislatures, and we think that when people cannot protect themselves, they're in danger.
The 19-year-old gunman who sent festival goers running for their lives last year in Gilroy didn't buy his semi-automatic weapon in California. He wasn't old enough, but he did make the purchase legally in Nevada. That's just one of the reasons gun control advocates are calling Needles' sanctuary status dangerous. The Brady campaign's Rebecca Gonzalez says strict gun laws are necessary to prevent the next mass shooting.
The whole goal is to protect the public and public safety, so I think that is worth it. Reducing casualties from gun violence is worth some extra paperwork.
Also noting the majority of Californians support strict gun control, the very reform the city of Needles wants lifted.
It's a concern because people need to follow these laws because they do protect the public.
Back in Needles, Mayor Williams, a former San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputy himself, says the gun control laws on the books will continue to be enforced. But he and other city leaders are asking for an exemption from what they view as an unconstitutional regulation.
You know, we're not asking for, like I said, constitutional carry or the Wild West or any of that kind of craziness. We just want to be respected and understand that our rights were given from God, and it's the Constitution. You know, you have to obey the Constitution. That's the laws you have to enforce first and foremost.
In the meantime, he hopes his quiet California city makes a loud impact in carving out compromise. Bridget Yorvo, Fox 40 News.
California Assemblyman Jay Obernold, who represents San Bernardino County, recently introduced legislation that would allow individual cities to choose whether or not they want to acknowledge out-of-the-state concealed carry permits.
Democratic candidates now have their sights